This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Okay, all right. So it's been a while. So yeah, let's try to recall what we were discussing in the last session. Okay, in the last session, as far as I know, so we were talking about Ansible and how do you little wrap the things, using Ansible with Terraform is what I remember that we are talking about. Okay, so let's put a full end-to-end picture basically. Okay, so yeah, let me just 1 second. Yeah, so let me workstation, do we need it? No, I don't know. Let me just open the code. I think git tagging is something I remember that we were talking about, if I'm not wrong. So based on the tags, okay, so we want to run, so we want to run the artifacts is something we were discussing, right? So I'm just trying to recall where were we. 1 second. Yeah. Hope you guys are able to see my screen now. I think we were talking about the tagging part only. So when you create a tag, okay, so how do we get the artifact is what I remember that we were talking about. Okay, so let me go and open front end. So Azure pipelines, in the Azure pipelines, so we want to make the artifacts when there is only a tag is created. Okay, so and how did we assure that? I think we didn't assure that yet. So because if I just go inside, so if I go inside the job, so even we are publishing the artifacts as well. The publishing the artifact should happen only when there is a tag created. And other than that, so when it run normally, so it just need to take care of the other steps. Okay, it should not go with the publishing the artifacts. All right. So that is something we were discussing, I think. Right, so now how do I do this? So whenever there is any tag is created, so at that point of time only I need to run this. So there need to be some conditions, isn't it? We were talking about that. Okay, so now Azure pipelines conditions. So condition always something like that. All right. So I think we were talking about these kind of variables. Okay. I remember that I made it even right. No. Okay. Or I might be just showing you those things I didn't enable them. Okay. Does anyone remember anything? I don't remember really. Um, okay. All right. So yeah, now we will be going with or we kind of troubleshooting even. So we are putting some environments, environment command inside the pipelines, and we kind of troubleshooting the things. So what things we're troubleshooting? Let's go and see this. Okay. So here, if I go inside, or if I go inside this failure, basically, so this failure is telling what? This master, you ran the env command, you got all the environment variables, but publish artifacts is kind of failing. So it is telling something. Okay. Why? Not sure. Okay. Let's go to the latest one, first of all. Even I need to connect my dots, but where was I? I'm just trying to look. So if I go on here and just make a job, so now publish artifacts is fine. Okay. So pair artifacts, environment command. And if I go to the previous failures, as far as I remember, so there were some failures and we fixed those failures. And if I go here, so there is a failure here, so and it was telling yeah, publish artifacts. Okay, not sure. So let's go back here and so let me tell you what actually let's just give you some context to what actually we were trying to do. Okay, so I mean, so every time you publish an artifact is necessarily not needed in all the organizations. So that's what I mentioned. So every time you commit the code, there is a CI pipeline runs and it just generates some artifact. And every time necessarily need not to be have an artifact. So sometimes only an artifact is needed. And when that artifact is needed is kind of so defined through better way is git tagging. You create some tag in the git and that tag will be cached. Okay, this tag is created, and as since there is a tag created, I wanted to generate an artifact. So that's an understanding we want to put it to the pipeline. Okay, on that particular process I shown you how to create, how to run the pipeline if there are any tags created. So by using this, we're just doing this. And also at the same time, the CI pipeline also should run along with that. But when there is a tag, then only this task should run. And how can I say that this task should run, should not run? By going with some kind of conditions. And that particular condition we're trying to look in now. Okay, so this condition is telling that, so this condition is telling that, so if variables of this one, if it is equal to this one, okay, then do that. All right, so then I will say that, I will go for condition, and I'll say this. So variables build.branch, if it is equal to this one, so then you run it kind of thing you're telling. But this is not what I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something else. So what is the variables related to the tag is coming? Let me go to the environment command. So since this is created with a tag, so you have something, a tag related information. So there is nothing here because there is no tags created here. Okay, but let me go to the pipeline and let me go to the latest pipeline, which was ran. you go here. Yeah, now you search for tag. Yeah, you see this. All right, so this is due to the tags. Now what I'm going to tell is build source branch, build.source branch, it is correct only. Okay, if it is equal to refs slash tag slash ref slash tag slash this one, right? So that means ref slash tag slash anything, so star also I can give. I think so. The star should work. Okay. If any tag is created, so then only you want to run this. All right. So let's go and push this. Now you committed the code, you push the code, and since you push the code, a pipeline will run, and the pipeline should ignore the other task. Let's see. So now you can see this, the code is committed to the master, and that's where it is running. Yeah. There's a failure in the very first place. And because you're using some tag star, or even I'm not sure this dollar you should be needed to give that way because you can directly give hyphen eq, I think. Yeah, condition, to give that, all directly. You can just directly give start with equal. Okay. Okay, now there is a code push and it will run once again. Perfect. You see this publish artifacts, you click on publish artifacts, it is telling that, it's not a tag, so that's where it is failing. Okay, now let me go and create a tag. Okay, how do you create a tag? You know that, right? So on the command line, I will say that. Okay, so git, if any, I think nothing. So git space, git space tag 0.0.16. Okay, or yeah, so 0.0.16, and then enter, and git space push hyphen hyphen tags. A new tag is created and a pipeline will run. Okay, pipeline already triggered. But the publish artifact is still not happening, so it is still ref slash tags and slash star, but still it is not working. The request result is saying that it is false. No, it should not say that it is false actually, unless until I'm doing some regular expression missing. Okay, so something wrong from my side. So now let me read a little bit more here. I'm just going through different documentations here. Okay, you can see this starts with is works fine for us. Rather than equal, okay, I will say starts with. Okay, and here you'll say starts with is there, so variable source branch is starting with refs tag. This one is wine, right? So that works for me. So git git space tag which is 0.07 and then push tags. Let's see. Cool. You see this? Publish artifacts is working fine. But if you go to the other one, the other old one, which is for a master, so now you can see there's the publish artifact is skipping. Okay. So here it is refs master because you're looking for tags. So this is what I wanted to achieve basically. All right. So every time I don't need an artifact. So sometimes I need an artifact, and that time I'm going to create a tag, and I will okay. So publish an artifact with that. Okay. Now the artifacts is going how basically. If you go to the artifacts, and if you go to the front end, and even the numbers also, you're getting whatever the numbers I'm giving. Okay. So those numbers only coming up here. So I'm just deleting unnecessary things because it just consumes some space. That's the reason. All right. Okay, cool. And recycle bin, permanently delete. Okay, cool. And I'll just go back here and I'll say, yeah, I'm done basically. So now this gives us a visualization about what I should do, right? So this is the, so I need to kind of build a strategy of my release basically. Okay, so this also generally an interview kind of a question people ask, what is your release strategy? Okay, so then you have to tell this story basically. So how the story should look like, let me tell you. So no one really comes and looks into your project basically. So the only thing, the story, whatever you tell should be logical. Okay, it should not have any kind of a gap basically, and you have to prepare for that, right? So yeah, so let me just say that, so here a release strategy basically. So with a complete I hope I gave this URL for you everyone, right? So let me go and look into the wiki. Diagrams link is that right? Yeah, all right. Okay, so now a new diagram here, so which is a kind of a the step-by-step procedure how your release works. Okay, so now the release works are your whole pipelines is of two types. So one thing is so when devs actually commit the code. Okay, so commit code, so then or okay, so just putting this. So when developer basically commit the code, okay, so when actually he commits the code, so then what we're going to do is we're going to run the CI pipeline. All right, so then we're going to run the CI pipeline. Okay, so CI pipeline. So CI pipeline has certain things which we haven't discussed completely. So there are more steps involved out there. We'll take a look on that, but still. Okay, so here this leads to, okay, this leads to what? This leads to no artifact. Okay, this leads to no artifact. You can tell this. Okay, so for every commit actually will not get an artifact. So for every commit he's going to check whether his code is really working with the standards or not. Certain things CI pipeline will do, so those things are being done or not, we will just ensure them. Okay, then actually it has to go to the environment so that he can test the code, right? So he's only checking the code here with the pipeline, but he has to test the code, so whether it is really working or not. So to test the code, where it has to go to, it has to sit in some of the servers. Okay, so then what I'll be telling is, so then if there is any kind of if there is any kind of if there is any kind of tag created. Okay, so tag created, so then what I have to do is I would be, okay, so I would be running the CI pipeline, of course, the whole CI pipeline, but it generates the artifacts now. Okay, it generates artifact. It makes artifact. Okay, with the same git tag. Okay, the same git tag I'm going to follow. Okay, whenever the code is created with the with some tagging, and the same thing I'm going to do with the artifact also. I'll be putting the same name. So that's where what I'm going to have is I'll be having a comparison. Like, let's say if I'm deploying the artifact, if I'm deploying the artifact of some number, so you'll have a clarity that it is because of the git tag of this particular, or you can have a relation. Basically you can have a relation, so that because of the git tag you got this artifact, and the artifact is also with the same number. So that's where so we kind of just use that. You can say that, okay, it makes an artifact. Now once you get an artifact, so then so there is some pipelines which wait for that, and you're going to deploy it. Okay, now the pipelines actually can be comprises of two types. One is immutable and mutable. Okay, but I was talking about immutable, but I'll give you a context on mutability also. So then if your infrastructure is mutable, if mutable, one approach. Okay, if it is immutable, and another approach. Okay, so if it is immutable, then there is another approach. All right, so let me just take this, and let's take this. Now what you are going to have here is, if it is mutable, that means you will be having a predefined servers already. So some servers will be there, and you can just and the servers will be there. You can just kind of update the existing servers. All right, so that's what you wanted to do. All right, so now if it is mutable, so then just your pipeline will run the your pipeline will find out the list of servers, your pipeline will find out the list of servers running, okay, in AWS. So dynamic, okay, for Ansible, right? So dynamically it's going to get the list of servers and information, and then okay, so run run Ansible Ansible update script to deploy on those new machines. Okay, and the change is done, and the change is done. So this is what you are going to do. All right, this is what you are going to do. And even this also can be done even in a better way. So if you use the Amazon strategy, Amazon gives you out of box some strategy. So if you use that also, it can happen even in a better way. Okay, so that's okay. For now it is fine. Now whereas it comes to the immutability, so then when it comes to the immutability, what you're doing, you're never going to update the existing servers. You're going to recreate the servers all the time, right? So that's immutability we're talking about. So then in that particular case, so then what I'm going to do is, so first step I'm going to make is, so create an AMI. So create AMI you should be doing. Okay, I had to create an AMI. So for dev environment. So create an environment, create a AMI for the dev environment. Okay, so first you have multiple environments, and that's where you'll be dealing with the dev environment. And now once you have this, then what you have to do is you have to update infra, update infra with you have to update infra with new AMI. Okay, so you have to deal with this. So now the dev committed the code. Okay, it makes an artifact, and that artifact actually has been kept in an AMI and actually releasing it to the environment. So now your environment is updated. Your environment is updated. All right. So once your environment is updated, so the people will go and test it out. Okay, or else people usually will have some automated tests. So probably I can say that, so some automated tests will run and publish the report. Okay, so automated tests will run and publish the report. Okay, so whether it is really working or not working, so probably it's done. And the next thing is, if everything is fine, so then what we probably need to do is we need to go with and put like, or you need to go with deploying to the next environment. So the next environment is push artifacts to next environment. Push artifacts to next environment. All right, I'll be pushing the artifacts to the next environment. All right, and I think I was talking about this basically the other day in the session Ansible. I was talking about how do you make your artifacts promotion. I think I was talking about this, if I'm not wrong. So Ansible, I was updating this. So how do you update your this one? How do you promote, right? So, and how do you pull the appropriate code? Okay, so now I will be having here push artifacts to the next environment, or promote. The actual word is promote artifacts to the next environment. This is a very common step that done by every organization. Okay, so most of the organization, again the strategy, but promotion will be there. Okay, and how do you define the promotion? Some steps, so some people it is authorized to promote it. Some reports tells that you can promote. It depends actually. Okay, so and you will say that you will be promoting it. Fine. Okay, so then so probably some security scans tells that okay, you are promoted to the next one. Okay, there are no issues. Yeah, I'll promote you to the next thing. So kind of thing. So some approach will be there. So and then we'll be dealing with that. Okay, so fine. And the next thing is I will come to this point bit. I'll give you some context, but we're not talking about any security tools. But yeah, I will um, okay, tell the process generally, like what are the different tools in the organization people uses. And you can also tell the same thing, and you can say that so we're not controlling them. There's a security team, and they do take care of that particular so actions basically. So you're not bothering about that. You can say that, and even enterprise organizations, it works that way only. And sorry, promote artifacts to the next environment. And again, the next one is so deploy to pre-prod environment. And okay, so then again so publish to prod environment, and you can do that prod deployment. Okay, now why in the organizations you will be having two environments is so organizations will have so similar two environments, at least same like production, they'll maintain another environment. Okay, so why? Because is when you go into the production, you should not get any surprises. The things will work in the dev environment, but you go into the production, it might break. There's always a probability of breaking. That is the reason. Okay, so okay, that is the reason. So we always want to ensure that before promoting, I want to put it into a prod like environment. It always goes, it's always better to have a cross checking basically. So that's the idea. All right, so that is the reason you'll be having a pre-prod environment. So since we are running in a lab, I don't want to go with these many environments, and I'll just go with, and I'll say I'll directly go to the prod environment. So in the organizations, you will be having multiple environments. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so prod, and yeah, you will be having that. All right, so this is how you're going to have. Okay, so Okay, so I'll just mention on some points. Organizations, we will have multiple environments, but since we are lab, we are limiting only to two environments. Okay, that's one thing. And for next, is one point. And the second thing is so pre-prod environment. Okay, so now let's say, so testing can be done by uh, testers. Okay, so testing can be done by testers in test environment. Okay, so that also can be a separate environment. Okay, so that is one thing. And the next thing is so then pre-prod or UAT environments. UAT means user authentication test. So they'll put some dummy users and test it out, it is really working or not. Every application will have dummy users. Okay, so they'll put those dummy users and test it out really whether it is working or not with the production kind of setup. Okay, so that's where you call it as pre-prod UAT. Okay, so yeah, so whatever the name you call it as. All right, so it is just before the production. So pre-prod or UAT environments is used for a couple of reasons. Okay, so at least some of the reasons are first one is um, so some of the reasons, the first one is going to be is so to avoid the probability of failures. If I go to the production, so there might be a surprises come into picture. So I just want to avoid those surprises. I want to see in before to that. Okay, so that's where I will just go with this to avoid this one. And in some old legacy, so some old legacy approaches, this pre-prod environments is also used as DR setup. Okay, also used as a DR setup. So they'll use it for both the purposes. Okay, one is for probability of avoiding the failures at the same time. So sometimes your production is down kind of thing, you want to bring up your application too faster, they can use the pre-prod environment also. Certain organizations use this strategy even. Okay, so today world actually we're not maintaining any DR setup. Okay, so DRs is really not a kind of a preferred approach in the cloud era basically, because in the cloud how much you run you'll get the bill basically, right? So you're going to get the bill as per your usage. Now if your usage is less, you get this, and cloud is telling that we provide the high availability basically, but you should have some strategy around that. Like let's say you take some, I mean last month I think Amazon has some outage, right? So a couple of applications has affected, not a couple, a lot of people has affected, even internet is affected because of Amazon down basically. So that's what it is. Now if the design was proper from your side, so I mean in a region the whole data center, all the availability zones didn't went down. Okay, so there's only, so in one availability zone I think some pieces went, I mean some part of the it did work actually. So if your design is being in such a way that if you are maintaining the if you are maintaining the application, so scattering your application between multiple availability zones, you will kind of never affected with that. Okay, so that's kind of strategy people are taking. So that's where DR, disaster recovery, probably people are not really interested in doing that. Okay, so in the cloud side basically, but you should have some strategy around that. Okay, so yeah. Now I have, like let's say in my current project which I'm working for a bank, and some data is very critical for compliance. They need some kind of 5 years old data basically. Okay, so now the data is too critical. Now I'm putting in Amazon. So now what in the worst case if it got deleted also, right? So if it got deleted, so probably okay, it's fine. Um, I mean to say, like, so okay, it got failed, that's okay. But however, I'm saying, like, so I mean I maintain the high availability. I mean I'm putting in multiple availability zones and doing the things, but I deleted it and then so I need some kind of a backup, kind of another second backup basically. So that's where we're using, so on-premise data center, we're copying it to tape drives and archiving it in a safe place. So that's where some strategies basically. So it all depends upon the organization. How do you do that? And you assume it. All right. Second. Yeah. So that's why I don't really need to think about the DR. You can tell the same strategy. Like people ask about something like, so what is your DR strategy and things like that. So then, yeah, you can say this. Okay, so we are trying to set up with mostly with the all the things with the high availability approach. So yeah, most of the scenarios we might not. Um, so we might not need this particular one just to avoid the cost billing. Basically, you can say that. Yeah, it's a smart answer by the way. All right, so fine, and so we are not really going with this. Okay, so that's where let's mention this. We were not really going to this. Okay, so there's only the information, so we'll just go with this line only. Now this is the release part. Okay, so until here it is CI, and from here to here it is CD, continuous deployment. Okay, so there is something called as continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay, so continuous delivery versus continuous deployment. There's a two terminology, CI CD. CD stands for two things, continuous delivery and as well as continuous deployment. Now what is the difference between these two things? Okay, now you see this continuous delivery is going to tell you that your deployment is to production is manual, and whereas the continuous deployment actually here it is telling that it is automated. Now whenever you go to the market and say that you are following CI/CD, say the continuous delivery, don't say the continuous deployment. Okay, so your development team should be in a superb kind of okay, so superb kind of code makers, okay, just to go into this approach, because when you actually go into the production, automatically there might be, if somewhere you couldn't find out something, I mean to say, like, couldn't find out something, the issues, you couldn't able to predict the issues or something like that, so that production will cause some downtime. I mean the end users will get impacted, basically end users will get impacted. So that is where we always prefer to go with this we always prefer to go with manual. At least I haven't worked so far in a continuous deployment environment. So far I didn't work on any organization which goes on continuous deployment. I think I mostly work for enterprise organizations. So continuous deployment is too scary. Okay, so your developers should write the code in such a way that it should never fail on the production. So in that case only you can go with that. Okay, so like companies like Netflix and all does this. Okay, so one organization like well known is, I know, so which is Netflix, and even some pieces of Amazon does that, some pieces of Google does that. Okay, not everyone again. Okay, not every teams, every product inside Amazon also will not do that. Okay, so yeah, So the organizations, okay, so are very confident about their code which is written, then they're okay to go to the production. Okay, so otherwise you always say that continuous delivery is what you're doing. Continuous delivery means, you know, you do all the automation, but the production deployment is always manual. Now here also I'll do is basically, you know, so here automated tests will run and promote, you know, artifacts to the next environment. Okay, so this is what you need to do: promote artifact or promote to next environment. Let's say promote to next environment. In the promote to the next environment, so you know, so how the promotion happen? How the promotion happens? The promotion can happen with discussion. Okay, the promotion can happen with discussion. So discussion. So cap teams will be there. Change advisory board. So change advisory board, this is a very common thing. So cap team, cap team change advisory board. So what is this group is basically is the people who are stakeholders of the product basically. Now who is interested in that particular product change, okay, those guys will come into picture. Now let's say I upgraded my, so look into the bigger organizations basically. Now you are a single product and you are a single team and you are maintaining the product, and your product is actually dependent for other products, assume. Okay, yeah, it will be there. Like let's say you are kind of making a notification service. Now let's say Amazon will have a notification service and it's a team who maintains the notification service. Now with the notification service is being maintained by one team, and if you make some changes, and the changes should be adopted by the other teams also, because if you made some changes and the other teams is trying to send the notification information in the old format, you know, so none of the emails will be received to you, isn't it? Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, so now since you are a notification team, so you have to get, you know, if you are actually making some change, all the people who are the stakeholders who is interested in your product information, so all those particular people should come into your call. Okay, so and that particular people, everyone would say that yes, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. So if someone is not ready, then your definitely your deployment will get into hold, or some pressure kept on the other team saying that you should do that, okay, immediately. So then those guys actually take it in priority and do that, and in the next cap call it gets, you know, get into the release. So in the organizations, okay, in the enterprise organizations, the process comes into more than the technical things. Okay, so that's where okay, that's a valid thing also, right? So if you just go ahead and change that and, you know, other teams are getting impacted, you know, it doesn't make sense. So you should have a you should have a proper process as well. Okay, that's where this cap team comes into picture. Now you can say that yes, we have a cap team, so probably all the managers and all the stakeholder side, you know, leads and managers comes into, you know, they will discuss, you know, what are the releases basically. Now if anyone want to, okay, if anyone want to okay, if report is okay, like let's say if I want to make the release, if the report is okay, okay, if report is okay, then some CR will be created. Some CR will be created. Okay, so it can be done manually or automated, depends on your org basically. Okay, so it depends upon your technical stack, whatever you follow. It can happen manually or automated. Okay, anything is fine. Okay, if the report is okay, so like let's say automated test will run and it kind of report it, and with the report will happen, so then there is a automated CR can create, or it can then be done manually also. It can be done manually also. Okay, it's anything is okay. So now like let's say if I, you know, so in my previous organization we made end-to-end automation, so that's where, so here it will just, you know, so if any test case runs, if everything is okay, it will automatically create a CR. So change request. CR is nothing but a story. Okay, a CR is nothing but a, okay, a story or a task which get created. Okay, in the boards. I didn't talk about this particular point yet. I will come back in some time. So here you have some boards, and you'll be having some work items. So something will be created here. Okay. So now here, over here, yeah. So people will. One second. I just want to show you my current organization. So it's a new, I mean, it's a new product. We are not in completely automated effort, or we are not yet in completed effort. So that's where, so we are actually using some Slack channel, and we kind of, um, I just want to bring that Slack here, but some with some blur. Oh, don't do this. Okay, I'm just getting it. Okay, so you see this, basically we are actually taking kind of, so we are not completely automated. So they're creating the ticket numbers basically. So, and the ticket numbers are looks like this. So this is one ticket number, and so this is one ticket number. So, I mean, what are actually getting released? So release notes for UAT, and so release notes for prod basically. Okay, so yeah, so first it went to the UAT on one day. Okay, so on 11th, on 13th actually, so they went into the production. Okay, it's a manual trigger. So one person will have, I mean, it will be discussed, okay, with all the associated folks, that it can be done or not. And even the QA can know that information. QA will know that information, that because they kind of taking care of all the applications, so they know that what should go there, what should not go there, what can break. They also will have some context. Okay, so like this. Okay, so this is how, so organizations can go in this format also. Okay, there is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong as well. All right, so strategy is always the organization to organization, the things changes. Okay, in my previous organization, what I did was automatically one CR will be created, and all those CRs will be discussed in the CR. So cap call, cap team will discuss the CR and approves. Okay, so now my pipeline wait for this particular approval basically. So approves, and I can put some promotion even here. I can put some, so approval basically, promote to the next. Okay, this one, and so one guy will go and say that approval. So it is approved as per the MOM of meeting of minutes for of this particular day. I am approving this. So who has the authorization can do that. So certain organization will have a release manager. Okay, so that role is getting away, faded out, but still the older organizations used to find out a release guy. He can go and approve that. Okay, release manager will be there, or product manager, or the some lead, some person who is delegated with that particular access. All right, so he can go on kind of approve it. Okay, so the next day, next day on the sense after this call, he will approve the release. So my pipeline will wait for the approval. These are all technical steps. These are all technical steps only. Okay, so wait for the approval. I can put some approval step, and if it is approval is that, then the production will happen. Okay, so that's how you're going to have it. All right, so All right. So yeah. So this is what through the discussion it can happen. Okay. So it's one way. So other way is, as I mentioned, so automatically, um, like if it is a continuous deployment strategy, so automatically can also, it can look for some automated test cases and look into, you can write some automation to look into a report and fetch some statuses and find out whether it's all good or bad, and decide also you can do that. Okay. So in the cap call, so they usually discuss the CR and approves, and once the approval is done, then it will deploy to the production. So that's the idea. Okay. And I wanted to talk one more point also. Mm, yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, all right. So that's what we have. Okay. So yeah, cap team will be there, and it just discuss and approves. So now this is the strategy I want to make it. Okay. Now we are the cap team. I'm the cap team. I'm the approver. There is nothing. Okay. So here, yeah, the other point I want to make is, so usually that CR should have all the information of security scans. Okay. Security scans, code quality. Okay. They look into all the report. Okay. So then code quality related things, and in a case, if there are no potential vulnerabilities, these uh, potential vulnerabilities, then we there are no potential vulnerabilities, um, they will approve. Okay, not immediately. If there are no kind of any potential vulnerabilities, uh, then we can go with that. Okay. So um, okay, so then there is no potential vulnerability. Security is a major concern here. When you go to the production, security is a major concern. Okay, so no one will just go and so put it into the production. So that leads to a lot of issues, right? If you're putting a buggy code, which gives a chance to the hackers to gain the gain the system access, and they can kind of theft the data, right? So that's a very quite typical thing. So I can show you something, how to, okay, it can be done. So but for now this is okay. Okay, so this is fine. And yeah, so the process wise, this is, if you follow mutability something, if you follow immutability something else. Okay, now after this, again, this also can be done in this format only, like in this one only, but still I'm not going with this approach. I'm not discussing much on the mutability part. You can say that we are following the immutability, so which makes which makes the releases nice and smoother. Okay, so here you always end up with some issues. You're putting the changes to the same server again and again. It kind of deviates from the automation, and so it causes some issues. And fixing those issues is much costly than so you put the efforts of you put the efforts and make, I mean, let me put this way: mutability is too much costly than immutability. Okay, why? Because mutability, risk or gives you a chance to have a downtime, basically. Downtime in the sense unknown downtimes, or gives unknown downtimes in the sense you will end up with usually with some kind of unknown issues. Okay, you don't know why app is not working. So all of a sudden you don't know the app is not why app is not working, because you're using the same server from a quite long time. Some of the library might be outdated. You're updating your application, which is fine, but the OS library got outdated. So to find it out, you take a couple of hours, and until then it is down. Okay, so those chances will be there. So but those chances and all will not be there if you go with the AMI and mutability approach. You go with the mutability, if it is really didn't not there, probably didn't work they actually in the very starting point itself. Okay, so that is how you kind of avoid the unexpected outages, And so if you're avoiding our unexpected outages, ultimately, so you're saving time, and the time ultimately is a cost, right? So that's the point. Now, is everyone clear in this particular approach? Is any questions, or you have some other thoughts, or your company, anyone have some experience around this? You want to put some points, um, anything? Anyone, please, if you have any
So Raghu,
questions.
why
Yeah.
wait till CR for security? Maybe if security is already engaged in sprint or whatever, in early engagement of security, then they can do a scan before. I mean, why wait till the
No, see, I'm telling that, usually the CR team should have all the information of security scans, code quality. And before actually going to the release itself, all the scans and everything should be reported. And those reports should be attached to the CR. Okay. And the authorized person will look into that and say that, okay, is everything is okay? Then I'll approve. You got the point?
Yeah.
I'm not saying at this point of time you do that. Before do that, you should do everything, and you have to submit the information to them, and they will approve it. Right?
Yeah. And sometimes we have seen that some security findings, not findings, but whatever they come up with, the system owner generally overrules, basically assessing the risk, how much risk it is. They sometimes overrule the
Yeah, that will be a decision, right? So that's what the team will take care here.
yeah.
I mean, you are saying like, so you want to take a risk sometimes, something like that you are telling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a decision taken by this team. So which is the sole responsible, and discussion will happen if everything is okay. If everyone is okay, then yeah. So sometimes you need to release it, but you kind of have a security issue, but still there is no fix for that. Yeah, we have to ignore, no other option. We have to move on. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? Confusions? Should not have a confusion, because couple of days we will just run this story. I mean, run this thing only all the time. Okay, all right. So now I just want to, little bit in detail. I want to go here. So, and what I wanted to do here is I wanted to make in a little in detail like what technically we need to do here. So here I'm going to do basically is so create a machine update infra with new AMI. All right, this one, right? Or this is one pipeline. This is one pipeline. Okay, so this is a whole release process I'm telling, but sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, this can be an individual pipelines also. So creating an AMI of the day is a different pipeline altogether. Okay, and so create an infra and this one, and update infra. So update infra can have some certain things like so update your infra with Terraform, and the second thing is you just do the release as well. Okay, so this involves two steps. Okay, now yeah, first of all, let's try to complete this. So you created a git tag and you're getting the tag, and so the same tag information should be passed to the pipeline also. To create an AMI, you need to have a pipeline also. So I will come to the mutable part later. I'll just show you once I have all these set up and running. So I'll just demonstrate the mutability part also. But we'll start with immutability, and we'll go with this one. Okay, now a tag is created. Now that since the tag is created, I want to trigger the pipeline. I want to trigger the pipeline. Or if I have an artifact, then I want to trigger the pipeline. Isn't it? Makes sense, right? So, so if there is no artifact, there's no point of running the pipeline. If there is an artifact, then only I want to run the pipeline, right? So that is the scenario I want to make it. Okay, so then I'll go here and I shoot DevOps. Then I'll go to the pipelines. Now, yeah, pipelines is the CI part. It makes the artifact, but I'll come to the releases now. The releases basically, so since you have a front end here, so the front end, if I click on edit here, now here it's getting triggered, or it's actually you're taking the Terraform code. AMI code and Terraform front-end code. But also now I want to take the Azure artifacts also. I will just say that, so I want to go with Azure artifacts. Okay. So which feed I want to go with? My feed, which is DevOps 53. Sorry, DevOps 53, and the packaging type is universal packaging, and the package name is front end. I have only one, by the way, and the default version is the latest one. You take it. The default version is latest one. You take it and click on add. Okay, now what I want to do if there is any release happen, if any artifact has been released, then I want to uh, I will just put it like underscore app or something, so generic word. Okay, click on save. Now if there is any artifact is coming to the Azure artifact, then I want to trigger the pipeline automatically. So how would I do that? So here you see this continuous deployment trigger. Now for this I want to enable this. So that means this is going to make automatically, if any artifact comes, these pipelines will come up automatically. Click on save. Okay, done. Then you get the pipeline. That's it. Now, the next thing it's going to happen is it creates an AMI automatically. Now, how the AMI happens, go to the bash script and you're running, so this one. You're making the AMI with the Terraform. So I need to look into the Terraform now. So if I look into the Terraform of AMI, so what I'm making is instance.ef. So you're making the instance and then provisioner, and now you're running the Ansible pull. Ansible pull, you're telling localhost, this one, this is a URL, you run it, and you're putting an environment. And the component is this is the component, so you're sending the component information, which is fine. I go to the make file, you're telling that backend config, you're telling this stuff information. Yeah, perfect, it's all good, it's all good. Okay, so now it will go and make the pipeline automatically, but actually it's going to download the latest code. It's going to download the latest code. So now this one is actually calling the Ansible, and Ansible is going to download the latest code. But are you required the Ansible to download the latest code? No, I want to give a particular tag number. Okay, how do I say that? So now let's say there is a gap between. Okay, there is a I want to put you a scenario. So what is that scenario is like, let's say you have a scenario that so you have one pipeline. Okay, so pipeline is CI pipeline. One tag is created, you got the artifact. Okay, so and the pipeline triggered. Okay, so the pipeline is actually going to collect the code which is the latest from the artifacts, isn't it? And immediately there is another artifact also I published. So then which artifact it will download? It will not download this. It's actually downloading this one, the latest one, because you're pointing the latest one. Okay, you're pointing the latest one. So now I do not go with the latest one. I have to pass the version, and that particular version only should be downloaded, isn't it? That version only should be downloaded. So how do I say that? Okay, so I should not do this. I would ensure that so they should not get there. Okay, how do I do that is, so I have to pass the tag information from the pipeline to here. But how do I pass the information of this one to here? Okay, how does it work? Let me show you. Let's find it out first of all. Okay, so rather than this here, I will just say that let's comment out all this. Let's comment out, and I want to say that so environment. Okay, I just want to go with env, and I want to find out that information. So let's see, env is kind of bringing any information basically. So Okay, I just want to see what's really there in the environment. Is there some artifact information it is getting? So release artifacts, here's the information. Now you will not get it. Why? Because this was triggered manually, but let it trigger with the pipeline. So I'll just go and create a run pipeline for the tag of this one. I'll go with this one. Sorry, I will run for this. Since I ran manually, so okay, the code was still star in the equal to, okay. Let me make one more tag and push it. Okay, let's run. It's triggered automatically. Okay, publish the artifacts. I go to the releases. One release would have been already triggered. Okay, let me go here, bash script, and now let's find it out. 0.0.18. You see this? This is coming. It also might be there earlier. I didn't observe. Okay, release artifacts app build number. Release artifacts underscore app. Underscore app is what is nothing but I used a variable. You see this? Go to the releases and this one, click on edit, and I just see this I used as underscore app, or I can just use app also, is fine. Okay, so app is fine. Okay, just to avoid the double underscore. Now I go back to the pipeline, sorry, releases, and I look into the other one here. So now I am seeing 0.0.18, 0.0.18. This is the one I want to look into. So now this is the number I have to pass it to. I have to pass it to my Terraform. Okay, so how do I pass that? How do I pass that is let's go to the edit and then edit pipeline, and the little steps I need to modify here. So now here if I want to make init, so then environment variable, so then I have to make like so df underscore where which one I have to get it is dollar, this one. I'll be taking this particular variable, okay, and passing it to tf underscore var underscore app underscore version. Okay, so app underscore artifact underscore version. Tf var app artifact version. So I want to take this. I want to take this and I want to use it in my here, and I want to use it here. So here hyphen e, so app underscore artifact underscore version. is equal to $var or this one, and this variable doesn't exist, and this is how it is. Variable this one, okay, and you got a variable. All right, so you're passing the variable. Now this variable should be taken from your Ansible code also. So go to the Ansible and go to the robot shop, go to the roles, and go to the common, so task, so download with curl, right? So previously you are making downloading with curl directly, you're downloading the repository from the source code. Okay, now I need to download it from the Azure artifacts. Okay, so now what I wanted to do is I just want to say that new file, so download with Azure .yml. So download with Azure artifacts.yml. So now I need to download this. So in order to download this, so first of all, you require some software to be installed basically on that machine. So you should install the Azure CLI. In order to download, you should have the Azure CLI installed, so that only you can download it. Okay, so how do you install Azure CLI? I think the other day I was just running on the new machine. Now I'll just go with I'll just take a new machine and launch an instance. Okay, so first of all I have to install the Azure CLI. So how do you do that? Okay, so and how do you download the artifacts? If you go to the here, if I go to the just click on save this and go to the Azure artifacts. If you go to the artifacts, how you can download, so this is what the command you should download. Okay, so now in order to make it work, okay, so if you want to make it work, agent command not found. So first you need to install agent CLI. So install agent CLI. Okay, if you go there and click on Linux, so then you'll find out the yum repository. So then you just need to run a couple of commands. So first thing is so just import this particular key distally. Okay, I don't think so you do really require an import, it automatically does that. So the next one is I just need to have this particular file copied to the remote node. Okay, so just take this and I'll go with here, and a common doesn't have any kind of a files or templates. I'll just go with new directory and I'll say templates, and I'll go with new file, so agent.repo, put this. Okay, now the task what I have to say is the name. So copy 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 Azure repos file. Okay, then you will be having a template, and src is actually going to be azure.repo file. I want to copy it under the destination is actually going to be /etc/yum.repos.d/agent.repo. Okay, you do that. Once after you do that, so then I'll just go here and I'll go to the server. So vi/etc yum.repos.d agent.repo file. Okay, done. Okay, once after you get the file, so then we have to install yum install Azure CLI. Okay, Azure CLI. I'll just go with this one and okay, so the next one is the name is so install Azure CLI. Okay, and I'll go for yum. I'll go for name. And the state is present. So it installs the Azure CLI. After installing the Azure CLI, again you're not done completely. So then I'll go with you run this command. So it's going to tell you that so this requires an extension Azure DevOps. Okay, you want to run that and install it. I'm pressing Control C so that I want to install it manually because I cannot go and press yes or no there, right? My Ansible is running it. Before to that itself, I want to install the Azure DevOps CLI, Azure DevOps extension. Okay, so how do I install the Azure DevOps extension is you can just go to the Azure DevOps and you can say here somewhere you'll get it. Okay, go to the feeds. Like let's say if I go with some other feeds, usually you get it universal. Yeah, here you get something. So what I did was artifacts, okay, and connect feed, and you're getting universal, and here you're getting the get tools. So just click on that, you're getting this one. No, you have to install this. The next one is, first of all, I have to install this. Let it install, and hyphen name install Azure extension. So it's a shell command. You don't have any kind of module available for that. So I just do that. Okay. So now I go and give Azure Artifacts download. So then it gives me, so that it doesn't have any kind of a identity. So you have to, so do the login. You have to do the login. Okay. So how do I do a login? How do I do a login? I already shown you that, right? So let's do this. So over here, so I'll just give a name and then down what is that? Yeah, so register or setup EAT for Azure CLI. So how do you do that? It's also a shell command. So you require a path and you get the path from here. So you go here and you go to personal access tokens in your Azure DevOps account. In your own account, you can get it. And you go to the this one, and I think the D53 you already have it, but it's a full access. Rather than the full access, I will go and create a new token. So D53 hyphen. So this is aged artifacts basically, right? So I can put it for 90 days. Okay, and what all I want? So all I want is just the packaging. Okay, so read, that's it. Okay, so click on create. I got one pad, and you just take that particular pad and you go and give that particular pad to Azure DevOps space login. You do that. Perfect, it worked fine. So you just need to do this and you go with this. And you know that, so we're not actually kind of, so storing the passwords over here. So this is a kind of a password. Who have the password can download the artifact. So now this is a password. And where are we storing the passwords? Inside the secret manager, isn't it? So secret manager, let's go to the secret manager and register our secret there. So RoboShop for Dave, yeah, whatever it is, and retrieve values. and I want to edit this and I want to add a row. So like, let's say I want to add a pad, PAT, and you just have this particular one. Save. Now, in order to get this particular pad, so where do you get this particular pad? Okay, so now I need to pass this particular pad also as a variable. Okay, now I need to go to the instance and I'll see -e pad is equal to how do I get the pad? Okay, so how do I get the pad? So let me go to the front end and I'll show you. The where did I think here only data.tf. You're actually having the threads here, right? So instance.ef. So you're already having this. You just take this is equal to dollar. You put this, and what is the value you need to pull? PAT. So you put the pad. Okay. So now you're having an environment variable PAT. So you're just going to take that particular variable and put it over here as Ansible variable in double braces. Okay. You do this, and agent pad will log in. Okay, now the next thing which I wanted to do here is I wanted to download the artifact. Okay, so now I will just go and try to download the artifact. Yeah, it's working fine. So I just need to download the artifact. So -name download artifacts, and this download artifacts is also a shell. And also now download with call, you have certain things actually here. So download and an archive, but before to this you need this. Okay, I will go and put this. So delete component directory, go and remove this, and after that, create a directory, and after that you download the Azure artifacts, and all these are actually going to be done by Azure artifacts. So here also become_user should be done by RoboShop user. Okay, so set up the path also should be done by RoboShop user, because every user has its own local credentials. So we are supposed to be downloading the code by RoboShop user. So we're setting up with the RoboShop user, and delete directory is fine, and create the directories with RoboShop, and downloading the artifacts also will go with become_user is RoboShop. Okay, so this is the fine, this is fine, and scope is going to be DevOps 53. This is okay, and this is actually going to be is a component, right? Component, is it component? Let's take a look from the instance.io. It's actually going to be small component. Okay, it's actually going to be component, and version, you're getting it from version, right? Okay, so the version also will be pulled from here like this, and the rest of the things is okay, and you download the artifacts. Okay, so this is the whole plan, and whether this is working or not working, so probably we'll take it a look in the next tomorrow session. So we'll make an AMI, and while making the AMI, so this should work. And here everyone is actually downloading the artifact from download from curl, but we cannot go with the download with curl. So actually we should be going with the download with agent hyphen artifacts dot YAML. We have to take this, we have to include this now. So not here, include this now, and Java Node.js. That's it. Okay, so these changes, whether it is working or not working, so we'll take a look in the tomorrow's session. That's all from myself for today. Yeah, any questions?
Raghu, going back to that mutable diagram, mutable versus immutable diagram
Yeah.
that you created. So in the mutable one, will there be any downtime, or is I guess I wanted to understand a little bit better.
No, downtime wise, release wise, you don't have a problem. The only problem which comes up there is later if you are doing the same thing again and again on the same machines, so certain things will get outdated, so and that kind of situations, like let's say all of a sudden your application starts seeing some issue and you don't know what is happening. You have to start behind, so what is the issue and where is the issue, and all these unpredicted issues would come into picture when you go with the mutability. Rather than that, if you go with the immutability, so then if it fails, it fails in the very first place.
Yeah. So
And you don't need to yeah. Go ahead.
So isn't the definition of mutable like, okay, you just because you have to pause whatever you were doing, that's why that's what is mutable versus immutable, or?
Yeah. If you look into the immutable infrastructure, so what immutable infrastructure is refers to the servers that are never modified after the deployment. Okay. If you want a deployment, then create a new server. That's it. No need of modification, or no, I mean, should not modify the existing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then second question I have is, is there a way in Git, so I was practicing, like, the Terraform stuff. So where I mean, I can go within the branch,
Yeah.
and then just always from my local do git git add -a, then it sends everything, whatever was there inside that branch. But is there a way at the top level to send everything, like under the Terraform major folder that you created or branch that you created? Is there a way to send? I think you're doing something in the background, right? But is there an easier way to do that?
Yeah, but that's a wrong way. Don't go into that area. Okay.
Okay.
So why? Because as I mentioned, so it's an unethical practice, and don't go, because the only I'm also doing here because just to avoid some time of typing the comment. That's it. Okay. So better start doing the, even if I work also, I cannot go with that approach. That's a wrong approach. I have to write the comment and I have to push it and adopt that practice only, so that later, yeah, you'll not see any surprises.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, apart from that, apart from the incorrect practice, anything that we are creating under the Terraform project, the sub branches, these things that we are creating, like Terraform-ESG and Terraform-front end, all those um, uh, uh, other branches that we are creating. There's no way at the top level to just say Terraform hyphen project, uh, send everything beneath that to Git. Is there?
I didn't really got your question.
So if you go back to your Visual Studio, I mean,
Yeah.
not the Visual Studio, but the this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So right in your Terraform project, right? Yeah. If you expand your Terraform project, so you've got all these other branches, right? Or main,
Yeah.
whatever these are.
Yeah.
So is there a way to, whenever I'm making the change inside ALB, AMI, is there a way to push everything from at the Terraform-project level?
No, Terraform-project is a directory I created just to structure my code. That's it.
Okay.
Rather than keeping everything in one place, I'm just structuring my code. And Terraform-project is not a Git repository. It's only a directory. And inside that, these are the Git repositories.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That's why it's got main. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? Okay, all right. No questions. We'll meet in tomorrow's session and we'll look into that AMI changes, whether what are the changes we made is really working or not. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye. Good day.